2022. Is it worth it to still be collecting games physically? Well, let's talk.
What's up, guys? So I've been collecting physical games pretty much my entire life. As a kid, we all bought and sold and traded in to upgrade to the next best thing, and we probably regret getting rid of a lot of our stuff in the early days. But over the past few years, I've been rebuying a lot of the stuff that I had as a kid. More as a nostalgia thing, and I just enjoy collecting the stuff, and I just love to have a conversation with somebody and say, hey, I have that game, I can go home and play that right now. So, now it's 2022, and I don't know if it's worth it to collect new games, as in PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Series X, because of what they do with downloads and updates and patches. So, I just wanted to make a video on my feelings and if it's still worth collecting in 2022.
Yeah, so back when we were younger, video games had a certain way of appealing to the person who collected physical copies. So they would put out special editions, like Matt has quite a few of them, right, Matt?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch.
Yeah, and that would always make us feel like, okay, it's worth it to upgrade and pay for this. There were certain ones, like I think the Gears of War 3 one we were talking about was like $130-something. Yeah, how much was this, Matt, when you bought it?
So the Gears of War 3 thing, we actually just opened this up because it came with a lot of stuff in here. John, if you want to open that up and show them.
Yeah, it's got a cog tag, which actually has a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, the cog tag itself, so this says Dr. Adam Phoenix on it, if you're familiar with the Gears of War series. That was Marcus's father. And it was when he passed away, they gave Marcus this as a gift, like a Purple Heart, something like that. And on it, imprinted, laser etched into it, there was actually a download code for, I think, maybe a weapons skin or a character or something back on the Xbox 360 back in the day. And then also, it came with just so many other things. There's pictures and notes and handwritten letters and a flag and just stuff you don't see anymore. And then you get a completely different physical box compared to what so this was the standard edition of Gears of War 3, and then the regular Gears of War, the Epic edition, this one is, just came with so many other things, and it came with a statue of Marcus. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't see stuff like this anymore.
No.
They don't make collector's editions like this anymore.
No, the closest thing we get to a collector's edition is, I see it like Best Buy and stuff, they'll hand you a steelbook that you actually have to transfer the game into yourself. They don't even give you any kind of they just put the steelbook thought into it, but they don't actually put the thought of the collector.
Yeah, I have a couple of those steelbooks here. This is Crackdown 3.
Yeah, they're nice steelbooks.
This was Resident Evil Village. I don't even open these because I don't. Yeah. Cyberpunk. I don't think these are really. The Avengers one is cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. They don't put any thought into this anymore. They don't really try. They're not trying.
Just toss a steelbook in and say, hey.
For the few people that are still collecting, which brings us to our point. Why are we still collecting physical media games in 2022? Now, me personally, I do not collect physical games at all, and I also don't buy games physically at all anymore for the simple reason of pre-installing the game.
The pre-installing definitely helps us a lot because we could do the switch to New Zealand and get the game a day early, and we can have it at midnight. We don't have to go to the store. We don't have to wait for the UPS man. So the convenience factor is great. But again, in the back of my head, I'm a physical media guy. I like to just take it off my shelf. I like to hold it. I like to open it. I like to smell it. I like to have it in my hand, and they can't take this away from me. But now in 2022, the games aren't even on the disc anymore. So, for example, Cyberpunk, you put it in, there's only a couple megabytes on the disc and you download the entire game. It's really just a product key now. You're buying a product key on a disc. And it's still great to hold it, and if you're lucky, you'll get a little pamphlet in there. Forget instruction booklets, because those days are long gone. But now, they can patch and update these games so much that it's nothing like what's on the disc originally. So unless you putting the disc in to a console that's offline, you're playing a completely different game than what's on that disc.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but some games won't even let you play the game.
Yeah, some
online.
require internet because you have to download 75% of the game because there's nothing on the disc anymore in these days. So
it's really just like you said, just buying a key to the game. That's it. So there's no difference if you buy it digitally or physically, and there's no reward to buying it physically. In fact, it's almost an inconvenience.
It really is. And I hate buying digital stuff, but now we do game sharing where his Xbox is my home Xbox and vice versa. So we share our games library, and I have multiple consoles in the house, and digital just makes everything so much easier. And I hate to say it, it really pains me to say it. And then now having a PC, Steam, you're getting games for pennies. It's just so hard not to buy digital in 2022, and it kills me because I love having my collection. I love looking at the games. I love pulling it off the shelf. But just digital is just easier in every way, shape, or form, and it really hurts me to say that. But that's just the age we're in, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just that's the way that gaming has shifted. And unless, they shift away from like having the games have patches all the time, it's like the studios aren't even incentivized to finish the games.
You don't get a complete game on a disc. You don't get a game on a disc anymore, let alone a complete game. Day one, there's always a day one patch, which isn't terrible. I understand it. They say, all right, the game went gold. We'll ship it out, start printing the disc, and then we'll double down and get a day one patch. And most of the time, the day one patch fixes the game. However, it's just I can go over to my Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo and grab the cartridge, and that's a complete game. They're not updating that.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's like for the people who create these games anymore. Like, when you finish the game went gold, and they were in the packaging phase, that game is done. Mm-hmm. That's it. The people who made the game, they're moving on, and now they're starting the next game. Now it's like
working on DLC for the game.
Yeah, now it's like, well, we have a year of fixing the game. Like, Cyberpunk, they're not even done. I think they just put out the Xbox Series X and PS5 console versions
over a year later after release.
After the game is released. If this was 10 years ago, that game's done. It's out. It's out. We can't maybe 15 years ago. Maybe I'm wrong on that. That's it. It's over. The game's out.
Got the disc, and even in the 360 days, there'd be little tiny patches to fix stuff here and there, and that's fine. Because you could take any game from the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era, put it into an offline console, and you're playing the whole game, and it's going to work pretty good most of the time. It's very rare that the game was a buggy mess, with the exception of a few games. But that's not, that's just the game itself. But now, you take an Xbox One game or a PlayStation 4 game, let alone Series X and PS5, you're lucky you even get the disc. It's in some games don't even come the disc anymore.
And one thing you got to talk about is like, you got to plan if you want to play a game. I'll give you an example. I wanted to play Splinter Cell Double Agent yesterday. Matt has the game physically. I don't. So I own it digitally. I have to remove stuff from my memory, from my SSD, and then install that. And then by the time that was all done being installed, I had to leave. So I didn't even get to play it yesterday. Matt could go on his shelf right now, grab Splinter Cell Double Agent,
which is also a very nice physical copy. Like,
yeah,
how awesome is
we don't get that anymore.
We don't get stuff like this anymore.
And then he could take that, turn on his Xbox 360, and he's playing Double Agent in 5 minutes, whereas I'm sitting there just waiting, playing something else, and then because I'm playing another game, it's draining my internet, so it's not installing it Double Agent fast. It's just it's a nightmare scenario right now for anyone who collected physical media, just remembering what it was like. Now, yes, is it nice that I can play a new game at midnight? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I do honestly miss the old days of collecting physical media, especially for video games.
Just having it, holding it. Remember your mom bringing you in the store, you're coming home with a new game, you're reading the box art. I'd bring the games into the bathroom with me, and I'd be reading the instruction booklets.
That ride home reading the back of the game.
Oh my god. It was the best. And you didn't have to wait to install it. It just
And we lost that community feeling of midnight releases at GameStop. Mm-hmm. That is completely gone.
Now they do this Thursday bullshit.
Yeah, they don't even put games out at midnight anymore. Like we lost everything it was fun. I remember Halo 3 taking the day off of school, going to the midnight release of Halo 3, and I could not wait. It was totally worth it for me just to go home and just I popped it in.
Speaking
Matt had to
Halo
have
3, yeah.
yeah, another special edition.
Yeah, look at this special edition. This thing is gorgeous. Big old steelbook box. You got the game in there, a hard book with all sorts of different artwork and stuff in there. Show that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a hard book, and look at the nice pages. This is from 2007, guys.
Yeah.
Like, and look, this is 15 years
all
old.
these extras, Halo Wars, what's coming next. You know, they would advertise in the
Halo
box.
Wars, yeah.
You don't get any of that anymore.
No. It's a shame. Like, and they used to do this with little games that didn't have a lot of hype. Like, Matt has a great collector's edition version of Alan Wake. Like, you know, like...
Alan Wake is a fantastic one.
Yeah, and we just don't get that anymore. And unfortunately, I don't see us getting
so,
it.
like, there's the normal Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Look at this thing. They made it look like a... Look how thick this
Oh,
thing
yeah,
is.
they made it look like a book.
This thing is thick as a dick. Look how... You know, this... Hold that. Look at this thing. Look, feel that material.
Oh my god.
It's a book.
It's actually a book.
It's literally a book.
Oh my god. I really can't...
Signed by Alan Wake. Come on. Books. There's literally... You get the whole book.
That is so cool.
That's a hardcover book.
Alan Wake files. Oh my god. Actually, hold on. I have to look at this.
I actually haven't opened this in a very long time, so
Oh
I'm
my-
excited about this. There's a Alan Wake soundtrack.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the sound of a book.
Yeah, don't break the spine. Come on.
I've broken a lot of Matt's stuff over the years, so he'll tell you.
Look at this, a collector's edition. What is this? Hold on, guys. Bear with me. Oh, this is the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess they gotta give you that in there, right?
Right? Or else what's the point of buying it? It's so cool.
I don't know if I've ever opened this. I don't remember that.
It's also 15 years.
Yeah, it's been a while since
I mean, yeah, some of the stuff inside of this stuff is impractical, but it's just cool. Like, everybody else can get something different out
If you're
of
a
this.
big fan of the games, you know, like if you're familiar with Alan Wake, he was a writer, so that's why everything looks like a big book.
Yeah,
You know,
and they
it's-
rewarded the person who was collecting that, and we just don't
Look
get...
at the size. Look at that.
I
It's
mean,
awesome.
they tried to move fully digital years ago. We remember the whole Xbox One always online thing, and like, you know, now they have PlayStation 5s and the Series S's that are just completely digital, so you don't even have a need to even have a physical copy.
Right.
But yeah, I think the age of physical video game collecting, unless it's retro, is over.
And it kills me to say that. It's just so much easier to log on to Steam, log on to the Xbox, buy it from and the sales. Like, look at the Xbox Spring Sale right now. Like, today's what, April
15th.
2022. We're talking about this right
Mhm.
now, and the Spring Sale on Xbox Marketplace and the PlayStation one is insane. There's like so much on it. I was sitting there for an hour scrolling through the stuff, and I just lost interest in search because I still had like 6 pages left. It's unbelievable the amount of stuff you get for pennies on the dollar. Now, and I'm not saying you can't go to a thrift store, or maybe your GameStop still has some 360 stuff, and you get some used games at a great price. But that's another thing. You can't trade in a digital game. Now, Steam has a nice service where if you play for under a certain amount of time, or you're in a certain time, they're pretty good with the returns. PlayStation and Xbox are a little bit harder to return games, but you're not getting anything. And you can, if say you lose your account password, or like John, how many accounts have you gone?
Forget it. I can't get my original one back. It's gone.
and there's so many games that you purchased on those accounts
They're gone.
that are just gone.
Yeah.
You can't get it happens. A lot of people lose their accounts all the time, and you can't get those games back.
Yeah.
No one's gonna take this from me. You know?
You're not
It's
buying the
like,
game, you're buying the agreement of the license of the game. And if they ever
Right.
decide, like, something happens,
They can
like,
delist it, like DuckTales a couple of years ago.
or a great example is Crazy Taxi, which has one of our favorite soundtracks from The Offspring, and, why am I drawing a blank on their name?
The Offspring?
No, the other band.
Bad Religion?
And The Offspring and Bad Religion are in the game, and now if you go get Crazy Taxi, none of that music is
Nope.
in there, so you completely, and honestly for me, changes the entire game.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Because I have the 360 arcade version and it's unplayable. I was like, oh, I love this game. We'll get some achievements. Nope. Terrible soundtrack. Can't play it.
So that's
but
another
I'll just
thing.
go pull the one off my shelf from my Sega Dreamcast and I'm gonna have a great time.
Yeah. So that's another thing, and that's not just for video games. That's for movies. When you don't buy them physically, they can. If you lose the rights to the soundtrack, certain songs on it, that movie is going to have a different soundtrack. You're going to get a whole different experience. You never know what that changes for you. And I mean, I've had that happen. So that's another thing that we lose. But
another instance, the big Max Payne announcement from Remedy and Rockstar, they're remaking Max Payne. And John's like, oh, I want to play Max Payne so bad. I wish I could play Max Payne. I could just come right over here and say, hey, which one you want to play? I got both.
Yeah.
So I love having it, but it's the new games. It's just kind of hard to justify.
Yeah, and they guide you towards digital. It's not like they don't want you to buy physical anymore. Think about it. Think about it from their end. They still charge the same price if you buy it physical.
The same price.
Yeah.
They gotta press the disc, they gotta buy the cases, they gotta ship the physical item. It's much easier for them to just give you the access to it on digital.
Yeah. For the same amount of money?
I think digital should be a little bit cheaper.
It should be. But, unless we had a revolt and rised up against it, it's not gonna be. They want to push it to digital. They want to charge you more than $70. Believe me. And then you're stuck with the game, and like Matt said, you can't go trade it in. You just spent $70 on a bad game. I'll give you a perfect example. NASCAR 21 Ignition. I bought that game last year. Game was horrible. Broken. Still fixing it. All these months later, it's still broken. You know what? Bought it a $7 game or a $60 game at the time. It's not worth $60, but I'm stuck with it.
And it's just, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's just very unfortunate. I have like almost 3,000 physical games between consoles from Atari up to PlayStation 5 and Series X, and I'm getting to the point where I just don't think it's worth collecting for new consoles anymore.
No.
Because you're not collecting anything. You're collecting, it's like a trading card at this point. You're not even getting a game on the disc anymore. So unfortunately, it might be
time
to wrap it up. I'll still always I'm going for a full Xbox 360 and original Xbox collection because Xbox is my favorite console. And down the road, when Xbox One stuff goes on sale, I am going to pick it up for games for under $10 and try to at least get my favorites, just to have the disc to put it on my shelf.
Yeah, you want to grab Halo Infinite even though you bought it digitally.
Right, I want Halo Infinite, I want the Lego Star Wars, I want the Tiny Tina, because these are the first couple of games that we bought in digitally, and it's killing me because I really, really want the physical one. I know, I understand.
We're waiting. Like, you can go buy the House of the Dead remake on Switch digitally, but we're waiting. Then we gotta wait till June to get the physical copy.
Yep, and Switch is the same thing. You feel it. You get the hard. It's a cartridge, but still, half of the games on Switch say require internet download, require internet. You're not getting anything on the cartridge anymore. You're not getting anything on the disc. You're getting a product key and if a mediocre build of the game, or if you even get the full game, you get a percentage of it. Because watch, next time you plug the game into your Xbox, throw the disc in and see how much it comes off the disc and then how much installs from the internet. You'd be surprised.
It's all right there, yeah. But guys, this is the first part of a 3-part series for us. We're doing new games today. We're going to do why you shouldn't collect, or is it worth collecting physical media for movies and for retro gaming soon. So this is part 1 of a 3-part series, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, thank you for being a fan of Let's Talk, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.